We are here back on Senate Bill 818, which we moved. And so we're going to need to move to reconsider 818 as a process matter, because for purposes of adding an additional amendment that we need to put onto the bill. So we have a second and I'll make we have a motion and then a second from Senator Hester. So we have in front of us a motion to reconsider. So we have to take, I think, an actual vote. Who's in favor of moving to reconsider the vote by which we passed this the first time around yesterday? That passes unanimously. So Alexis, with that process behind us, what do we need to do that we missed yesterday before we left?
All right. So in our reprint, there are a few changes that I wanted to point out that were not agreed upon within our vote yesterday.
Sure. Back to that summary though.
So if we look at the third bullet, page 8.1 after line 26, we have the broad exemptions for higher education for academic or research purposes. So we've maintained that exemption. However, we are allowing an annual report by the public senior higher education institutions and Baltimore City Community College, essentially summarizing or including the artificial intelligence that was deployed or procured. So that includes all artificial intelligence, including that which was used for academic and research purposes. However, they're generally carved out for other purposes of the bill. So we'll see that.
And the reprint of this,
Sure.
I don't have
So
what you're talking about.
So after page 8, so we have number page 8 in the bill. Page 8
in the bill. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's a page after that one. It's an unnumbered
Gotcha.
page. In section 3.5802, after line 26, in subsection A, or actually in subsection B, it exempts the higher education artificial intelligence used for academic and research purposes, except for the annual report that we'll see in 3.5804, which begins on bill page 9. And then when we get to bill page 9, we're gonna flip till we get to bill page 10, actually. So it's on bill page 10, not a unnumbered page. So in subsection D, it says each public senior higher education institution and Baltimore City Community College, they are, Baltimore City Community College is not included within that definition. So we specifically added them where we'll submit this annual report. Yes.
Senator Caruso.
So I was looking at the sheet from yesterday that I thought was very helpful,
Good.
where it says broadly exempts the higher education, which is what we're talking about now. But then it also says, however, higher education institutions are required to adopt
Yes.
policies and procedures to govern AI
Yes.
for non-academic and non-research projects. And I guess what I'm trying to understand is the exemptions that we seem to be requested from the institutions of higher education, and then this requirement on non-academic and non-research purposes. So does that mean when I read that, are they not, so they're not required to have any policies on AI?
So there is so the intent, and Senator Hester, please feel free to, speak more to sponsor intent, was that there are a lot of processes and projects that are deployed for academia with AI. Partnerships with Johns Hopkins, which is a private institution, so isn't covered in that definition. And instead of placing several guardrails which could prohibit those projects, most of the bill covers those non-academic purposes. However, there is an annual report that has to be submitted that incorporates those academic and research purposes. But the policies are for non-academic and non-research purposes, with the expectation that those institutions create their own AI-specific policies for academic and for research. So deferring to them for academic and research.
Okay, but this says for non-academic and non-research. So it's leaving the impression that they're exempt from, they're broadly exempt, and the requirement doesn't capture academic.
So the
Yeah,
exemption,
I mean, I'm just looking at, that's what I want to understand.
Can I try?
sure,
So broadly, if you think about the work of a university, they do a lot of teaching and then a lot of research. And then there's kind of like everything else, like how they run the university. And so that could include admissions processes or grading or, you know, something around their healthcare system, right? And so the intent was that that for the purposes of the teaching or the research around AI, they're exempt, but they need to have policies which they're going to develop that are functionally compatible with our policies to make sure that there's like no discrimination in the admissions process if they use AI, that if they're using it at their healthcare center on campus, like it's been, you know, it's been assessed to make sure that it's working. Did the three buckets make sense?
So how does this bill affect the academic part?
What do you mean the academic?
I mean, do the AI provisions, if we're saying they're exempt,
they would have to have the annual report. And we would defer to them to set aside those guardrails for AI in
for the
there,
academic?
for their academic. That's right. So they have the annual report that they have to do. For anything else, they have to adopt policies that are functionally compatible with the do it policies that apply to units of state government.
So again, I'm a novice at all this, so that's why I have to ask these very literal questions. So does that mean that when it comes to AI for academic, the only requirement is the report that after the fact?
That's broadly correct.
So it is a broad exemption on all
That's right.
academic.
That's right.
And again, I'm just trying to understand the rationale for that.
And so the way I understand it is because a lot of the institutions, USM in particular, chimed in and specifically said that they have so many projects that are being deployed that they had to create the impact assessments if they had to have their policies reviewed before they are able to deploy these projects, then it could, you know, derail some of the work that they're doing. There's also a provision which may provide additional clarity that relates to partnerships that the senator wanted to address to make sure that a partnership with a unit of state government isn't able to, a partnership between a higher education institution and a unit of state government isn't able to sort of circumvent the requirement to conform to do it policies and procedures by suggesting that we're exempt because we're partnering with this public, you know, institution. So if there's a partnership with the higher education institution between a unit of state government, then that partnership has to be governed by do it policies and procedures. But that's if we're talking about partnerships. If they're standing by themselves and it's just University's System of Maryland procuring some type of artificial intelligence for the use of an AI lab at their institution, they wouldn't have to flow under do it policies and procedures or have an inventory or an impact assessment, et cetera.
I'll listen to that.
Okay.
Just
Yes.
comment on that real quick,
Sure.
because I kind of went around my head on a different topic. So in the world of cyber, we have what is called sandboxes. And in the world of cyber, the sandbox is where we play with all kinds of viruses and try intrusion detection and all of those things to make sure when we deploy these things, you know, certain things don't happen. And so by allowing the universities the flexibility to be able to develop and research and do certain things, it kind of, you know, it needs to be kind of held separately, like a standoff. And if you think of it in terms of research, it's here's where we figure out how to do things and everything comes into play. The only analogy that I can give you is what we do when it comes to cyber, right? We have to fight intrusion detection. We have to fight viruses. And to fight viruses, we have to literally use the virus and try to put it to one of our systems in a test bed that is sanctioned off from the rest of the facility and the rest of the infrastructure, if that helps at all.
You're comfortable with the exemptions and the required reports?
Yes, I am.
Okay, additional questions for Alexis, for the sponsor, Senator Hester, for anybody else? Okay, Senator Hester, would you like to move this? Oh, I apologize. Okay, additional changes.
Really quick, the limitation on the discretionary appropriation that was capped at $2 million, that has been removed. The governor in his discretionary capacity can appropriate less than 2 million or more than 2 million. We didn't place that guardrail there. And additionally, in the timeline for riskier AI, I defer to that term, we pushed it up. So on or before December, let me find the part in the bill. So on page 9 of the bill, AI that was procured by a state government unit before February 1st, 2025 has to be procured before February 1st, 2027. And this is in line with other provisions that allow the AI that's procured after that date to be procured on or by a certain date. So we made sure that there wasn't a gap in that timeline by pushing it up 1 year. Originally, in the amendments we considered yesterday, we were talking about AI systems procured before February 1st, 2026. Now we're talking about systems procured on or before 2025.
Did you say that? I did. I thought we voted. We did. That part we already voted, right? Yes.
But it wasn't in the amendment, so that wasn't
Oh, it was
clear.
not in the-
That wasn't
okay.
in the amendment.
Okay, well, that, okay. Okay, well, that will be incorporated into this vote though, correct? That we're
Yes.
about to take.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, well, good catch on that. Any other kind of loose end questions, discussion? Okay, now, anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Sir Hester?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion favorable amendment, second from Senator Augustine, discussion. Okay, all in favor of the amendment, just raise your hand. All opposed, the amendment carries. I think we probably still need to now move the bill 818 with all the amendments that we've adopted. Is there a motion? Okay, motion. Senator Hester, second Senator Augustine. Okay, all in favor, Senate Bill 818 as amended. Okay, the bill carries unanimously, and that completes our work for this morning, and wait for some announcements on the floor. Thank you, ladies.